Good morning, everyone. I'm going to try and do a live demo today, so those of you who are religious can start praying to the demo gods now, and by the time I get to the demo, hopefully they will be pacified. I'm Nick Stenning. I work at the Open Knowledge Foundation, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Annotator, which I know that many of you know. And while I do that, I'm going to make sure I have a timer running so that I know that I'm running out of time. And for those of you who don't know Annotator, Annotator is this little guy here. It is a JavaScript library to help people build annotation applications. And it's used by many different people, many of whom are in this room. It's used by Hypothesis. It's used by some people building video annotation tools, image annotation tools, and all kinds. And at the end of this talk, I'm going to make a request of those of you who do use Annotator. I'm going to give you a link that you can go and you can fill in and let us know, because there are many, every time, I say every time, this is the second time, but every time I come to this conference, I discover more and more people who are using Annotator who I didn't know were using Annotator. And it can be really helpful for us to understand who's using it and what they're using it for in order to make improvements. And that's essentially what I want to talk about today. So first of all, the context. What is Annotator? What is it trying to be? Annotator is trying to be the reference platform for implementing annotations on the open web. It intends to be a base layer on which you can build the things that you're interested in building, so that you can stop worrying about all the boring details of how annotation works, how selection works in browser, and so on. And you can concentrate on the interesting stuff of actually understanding your users and how they interact with the content that they're creating or that you're allowing them to annotate. So the goal of work on Annotator for the last little while has been this. We have been aiming to make it easier for developers to create and deploy applications that extend and modify Annotator. And originally, many people deployed Annotator in its extant form. And now that's not really true anymore. Most people who use Annotator are kind of modifying it, building upon it, which is exactly what I wanted people to do with it. The only problem is that it's perhaps not necessarily that easy to do right now. There are bits of Annotator that are kind of complected in ways that they probably shouldn't be, and pulling them all apart so that you can do whatever you want to do is perhaps not as easy as it should be. So we have been working to make this easier. We have been working to understand how people use Annotator. And so I'm going to try and give you a little demo of Annotator's plugin architecture, not in any great detail, but how easy it can be to get up and running with Annotator and add some functionality. So for the sake of good humor, I want you to all imagine that you are an NSA agent now. And you've heard about this annotation thing, and you've also noticed that people browsing suspicious web pages tend to kind of select passages subconsciously. And you want to build a thing that tracks this and reports back to you on the passages that they have selected, so that you can analyze them and then create a story of guilt later on. Political? What? No? So let's try this out. What we're going to do is we are going to try and create... Wow, that's huge. We are going to try and create an annotation application which doesn't do all the things I want it to do, but it'll... That's interesting. I told you, demo gods are fun, huh? And that's the wrong thing. Okay, so here we have a perfectly innocent-looking web page. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an application based on Annotator that when you create an annotation, tracks your location. And this might not work. I hope it works. I hope the Wi-Fi works. And it will report the location back to the Annotator store that you run at the NSA, because I'm sure the NSA are using Annotator as well. Everybody else is, right? So, first things first, I'm going to consult my notes, otherwise this is all going to go wrong. That is the web page, and we have the web page here, which is enormous. Can everybody see this still? And I'm going to... Oh, my word. Right, okay, come on. Right, so I'm going to skip ahead, and what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to add, what we're going to do is we're going to build an application, and we're going to bundle it up, and then we're going to insert that bundle, inject that bundle into the page. And obviously, if you were the NSA, you would probably be doing this using some very, very clever, that's not what I wanted at all, some very, very clever backdoor in a commodity router. But since we're not the NSA, we're just going to type a script tag into the page. Okay? And then we're going to go to the file in which we're going to create our application. And I just need to make sure I'm not missing things. I am missing things. And then, why are you doing that? Every time I switch to my terminal application, it dies. Sorry, people. At this point, you use the Node Package Manager to install Annotator. And what you'd probably do is you'd probably type this and run this. But again, I'm cheating, so I'm just going to install Annotator from the local copy that I have here. So it's going to go and fetch some of Annotator's dependencies and install Annotator, which is just done, which is very nice. And then what we're going to do, first of all, is we're just going to get a completely bog standard Annotator in the page. So we're going to require Annotator. I hope you've all been praying to the demo gods. And then we are going to grab a copy of the version of jQuery that Annotator uses. And then we're going to do something when the page loads. Don't worry too much if you're not a JavaScript fan. I don't think many people are. So, and we're just going to create a bog standard Annotator on the document body. Is there anything else I need to do? I don't think so. That should be it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tool called Browserify, which is what we've been using to package up Annotator internally, to take that file that I've just written, bundle it up, and spit out the bundle into the tag that I've included in my HTML page. And if I now go back here and refresh, then hopefully, if everything's right, we have the Annotator that you know and love. Okay, so this is not very impressive so far, but the demo is at least going according to plan up to this point, which is good. So, the next thing we want to do is actually to add the, well, I'll tell you what I will do first, so that you can see what's going on, is I'm going to cheat a little again, and I'm going to add a storage plugin to the page, but I'm not going to use a real storage plugin because that's just pushing the whole demo thing too far. I'm going to use the debug store that we have in recent versions of Annotator, which essentially just logs the things that would be stored out to the console. And I'm going to enable that down here. Hopefully, something like store type debug store, maybe. If any of you know Annotator and you spot that I'm doing something really crazy, do let me know. That looks about right. So, I should tell you that in the background, the thing that I typed about Browserify, whatnot, that's running over and over again, so I'm not going to have to type it every single time. But now, hopefully, if I open the console, yes, that's working, and say create an annotation, you'll see that an annotation would have been created with a quote of white concrete, blah, blah, and text of hello. So that's demonstrating that when annotations are created, they'd be sent off to a store. So the next step is actually to do the implement the location plugin. And for that, we're going to make a thing called annotator.plugin.location. And I should stress, by the way, that I'm giving you a little kind of sneak preview of the packaging and the integration that Annotator 2 provides. Many of the details may change. We haven't decided on some of these things yet, so don't kill me if it's not exactly as I am typing it all out right now. Okay, so a lot of this junk is just kind of standard way of building sort of vaguely object-oriented things in JavaScript. It's not specific to Annotator. Unfortunately, just doing that is incredibly ugly in JavaScript, so I apologize. But there's not an awful lot I can do about that. So all we're doing here is we're creating kind of a location class. And there is really only one thing we do in order to implement the functionality that we want, which is to track people's location and add their location to the annotations. And that is to implement a method on this class called plugin_init. So we're going to go prototype.plugin_init is a function, and I don't think, do we need, no, don't need any arguments. Okay, and what is this going to do? Well, first of all, it's going to call the browser geolocation APIs in order to find out where you are. And that looks something like this. Get current position. And that takes a callback function, which returns your position. Okay, and then with that position, we're just going to save. This is more JavaScript disgustingness, but, you know, hey. Self.chords is pos.chords. Okay. So what we're basically doing now is we're asking the browser to get the user's position and then save that in the plugin instance that we're using here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that every time an annotation is created, certain bits of those coordinates are extracted and put onto the annotation object, which might then be sent off to a store. And in order to do that, we're going to reference the annotator instance itself, which is self.annotator on a plugin, and we're going to bind to one of annotator's events. And the event in particular that we're going to bind to is before annotation created, which takes a function which has an annotation in it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say that if we have successfully retrieved a bunch of coordinates, then what we're going to do is we're going to add those coordinates to the annotation. And rather than adding the whole thing, we're just going to add a couple of key pieces. Self.chords, is that what I want? Self.chords.latitude. Okay. Apparently I have a choir rehearsal. That's nice. And let's maybe save the accuracy as well, because that's a thing that we probably care about, especially for the NSA. So, hopefully, all being well, that is all I should need to do. And now, when I load this page, he says confidently, except the browser isn't asking him for his location, so he's not sure that it's actually going to work. What have I done wrong? Dun, dun, dun. Maybe I've done nothing wrong. Let's just try it out, shall we? Okay. Doesn't seem to be working. Ha ha ha. Of course, because it's a live demo, and why would it work? What have I done wrong? Couple minutes. Well, I tell you what, guys. That is a really good point. Thank you so much. This is why you guys are here. So, I add the plugin. There we go. Brilliant. And now, maybe... Dun, 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 dun. Sorry? I don't, because that should happen automatically. Add plugin location. Tell you what, let's... no, it is working. It is working. It is working. It is working. I'm just going to wait a little bit and then run this. Ha 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 ha. It works. So your coordinates, your latitude, your longitude, and accuracy are being reported to the NSA successfully. Brilliant. Okay. So. Brilliant. Okay. So I apologize, that took a little longer than usual. Thank you very much, whoever shouted out that I hadn't done the one really important bit, which was adding the plugin. But what I'm trying to demonstrate to you here is that we're trying to make it easy for you to build a production-ready bundle that you can deploy to your your users' browsers. And that was a really silly little example, and you could go on and you could, if you were the NSA, and you could remove all of the stuff that builds the highlights and get rid of the pop-up and stuff so that they really don't know what you're doing. But hopefully this is substantially easier to start from scratch than what we've had before. But I do want to reassure you that if you're used to doing it the old way, you don't know how Browserify works, you're not interested in learning, just the standard way of including Annotator will continue to work. If you use require.js, the bundle that we build for Annotator will work. If you use Browserify in a common JS-based environment, the bundle will work. So that is what we've been working on. It's not complete. We're hoping that by the end of this week, after the hack day, that we're all going to run and build stuff together. We will ship Annotator 2 Beta 1, or possibly Alpha 1, depending on how confident we are. Do I have anything else? I need to shut up. I have one last request. If you hold on, I will shut up in just 1 second. If you use Annotator, please go to this webpage and add the details of your project so that I know it exists. That would be fabulous. Done. Thank you. Git code is on GitHub. Please join and subscribe to our mailing list and come to the hack day. I'm done.
How are you? How is it going with connecting between annotations, connecting targets?
Why? What exactly do you mean, connecting between annotations?
Hmm?
Say, I wasn't quite sure exactly what you meant.
Do you support in your data model connecting between annotations, like multiple targets?
Multiple targets on a single annotation, or multiple bodies on a single annotation? I don't.
Multiple targets on a single annotation.
So,
and multiple bodies.
I think it's probably best if we chat about this afterwards, because there are many different interpretations. But in general, Annotator, the core of Annotator, and a key aspect of a lot of the work we've been doing recently is to make the core of Annotator almost entirely data agnostic. And if you want to have annotations which annotate annotations, annotations which annotate multiple things, or annotations which have multiple bits of content that annotate a single thing, all of that will be in principle possible simply by writing plugins and extending Annotator. Can you annotate annotations with Annotator straight out of the box? No. But there's nothing stopping you building your own tools to do that on top of Annotator. Thank you, everyone.